Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out two triad grips on the thinnest three strings that have the root note on the third string. Sounds a little bit technical. The reason we're learning them right now is because they're the top part of the major and minor A shape bar chords, okay? But they're just using the thinnest three strings. Now, I'm really hopeful that before you've got to this, you've used and experimented and explored grip 1, which were the ones at the top of the E-shaped bar chord. So I'm hoping that you remember already, or here's our G chord. So the grip 1 was this for the major, and this was the minor. So you might have been going like G to C, D to C, and back to G, that kind of thing. Again, it's really important that this stuff gets used, okay? So you should have been exploring using those in the real world or jamming along with records or whatever, but actually trying to play them. Don't just learn them and know them and practice them. Put them into practice. It's really, really important. Now, if you've been doing that for some time, you're probably getting a little bit sick of jumping right up and down the neck. So learning these grip 3s, okay, the one with the root note on the third string, is really good because it means you don't have to jump around as much, okay? So they're really, really great for that. Now, because the root note is on the third string, I'm aware that many people are going to be like, I don't know the notes on the third string, right? A lot of guitar players, they should know the notes on the third string, but the reality is a lot of guitar players only know the notes on the thickest two strings from their bar chords. Now, if you've got this far in the A-shaped bar chords module, I'm hoping that you're pretty confident with your notes on the fifth string. So the cool thing about these grips is you can kind of remember them by thinking about the root note on the fifth string rather than the one on the third string. Later on down the line, you should definitely be thinking the root note on the third string, not the fifth string, but maybe by learning these, it'll kind of help you make that bridge between those two different root note positions. So let's have a look at them. Now, the first one, root note is here. There's the note C on the 5th fret. We're playing that with the third finger, little finger underneath, also on the 5th fret. And first finger is going to be playing that 3rd fret on the thinnest string. Of course, when we were playing the big A shape like this, we didn't play the thinnest string at all, okay? But with the triad grip, we definitely want that. I do sometimes see people using 2nd, 3rd, and 1st fingers like that. I don't recommend it. It feels a little bit stretchy, and it makes it harder to like change to the minor, whereas this one, it's a little bit easier. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I would recommend fingers 1, 3, and 4, but if you want to use fingers 1, 2, and 3, then more power to you. Experiment and see. You might end up coming back to this one later on though. So there's the root note there on the 3rd string. But if you don't know that, you can always remember that this is the top part of this. So the root note is on the 5th string in the same fret as your first finger. So if you're looking like, oh, I want this to be a E flat chord, for example, then you can go, well, there's E flat, there's E flat, so it's here. So first finger is in the same fret as the E flat note was there. So that's the easy way of kind of navigating your way around this one. So this one would be here. What would this be? What's this note here at the 5th fret on the 5th string? It's the note D, so that would be your D. Okay, let's go back to C again, where I've set up my camera focus. So that's a C. If we go to a C minor now, all we need to do is lift off little finger and put 2nd finger down. Again, it's just the top part of this C minor here. Same rule applies. There's the root note, but you can think of in terms of like the note being on the 5th string, if that gets you by, but it's still there. These are the same note, C and C. You can hear they're an octave apart, okay? There's the minor. So now, of course, what I would recommend that you do is try and pick some chord progressions and just use the grip 3, the ones with the root note on the 3rd string. Maybe take some of the chord progressions that you've learned before using grip 1 and apply them to this. So if you were doing this one before, going G to C, D to C, maybe you're going to go now G here. There's G, 10th fret. So to C, to D, back to C, G, C, D, C. But look what happens. There's the C, there's the G. So back in the, when you first learn grip 1, you'll be going from G all the way up to C, D, especially if it's going G, C, G, D. That's a lot of jumping around to do, especially if you kind of dance around at a gig and you really have to concentrate. To jump from a G to a D takes a bit of concentration. But here, you've got a G here, and if you just add third and fourth fingers, there's your C chord. Up to D and back again. Much easier. Or even if it's going G, C, G, D, much less movement. And you can see now we've gone from root 1, there's the root note for the G, to here, this is a C. The root note is really here, but you can think on the 5th string if you want. And again, getting used to that little shape for the 1, 4, 5 is very, very useful. Same as doing 1, 5, 6. So now the 6th chord in the key of G is an E minor. There's the E, the minor grip, to C. For example, that's a really common chord progression. G, D, E minor, C. G using grip 1. D using the grip 3. Grip 3 minor for the E minor. And down grip 3 again for the C. So that's one example where you're integrating now grip 1 and grip 3. Of course, you could be doing, if we just take that first G, C, D progression, you could do G, C, D, C, G, C, D, C. Or you could even go A, C, D, C if you want to really rock out. But it's the idea of moving these shapes around is the key thing. Now, they are very much a second guitar part, these little triads. I'm hoping that you've experimented with using them before. Well, now you've got some different things that you can experiment with. Okay, these are a fantastic tool, especially if you're playing a covers band. You've got a song like, for me, it was Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves, which was just G, C, D, C, the whole of the way through the whole song. So I just used to use it as triad experiments. So I would play that same chord progression. How many different ways can I do it? Where can I link the different triads together? Now there's one more set to learn. So we've learned grip 1 already, which was based off of the E-shaped bar chords. We've just learned grip 3, which is based off of the A-shaped bar chords. And there's one more, grip 2, the one kind of in between, which is based off of a C shape. We're going to learn that in the next grade. The ones that we've learned so far, the grip 1 and the grip 3, major and minor of each one, are the most important ones. If you can get those down under your fingers, you could really use them. You could be doing gigs with them. You could use them for your whole life without learning the other ones if you wanted to. The other ones are not particularly difficult, so I would encourage you to get involved with those ones as well. But these are the ones that are they're really, really useful to get under your fingers. So your challenge now, which I'd love you to accept, would be to find 3 or 4 songs that you know already that are kind of big strummy songs that you can play along with the original recording and try playing along using only triads. Start by only using grip 3 with the root note on the 3rd string, this one based on the A shape, the one that we've been looking at through this whole series. Start with just using that. Then start incorporating grip 1 and grip 3 and see which one fits better where. How is it best used? Okay? It's so much fun. Really, really cool thing to do. I'm going to give you one cool, very, very cool little bonus here. And I really love this. This is something I use all the time. I wasn't going to teach it to you because it's kind of a bit more advanced, but it's actually really easy as well. And it sounds fantastic. So look, here's our C major triad. Now, if you remember, there was our C chord. I'm playing it the way that I told you I shouldn't. But we also learned this. C sus2, and we talked about how amazing that sus2 sound is, how it sounds all airy and you can replace major and minor. So look, here's the C triad, here's C sus2. Okay, so this is just the 5th fret, 3rd fret, 3rd fret. There's the root note again on the 5th string. But look what happens if you go G, C. How nice does that sound? Especially if you've got somebody going G to C, strumming like that, and you go. Just sounds so sweet. So don't always feel you have to go G to C. You might just go G to C sus2. Really, really nice trick. You can, of course, there's your sus4, so there's a regular C. You can move little finger up. But again, sus4 to me is a little bit more like a riff machine rather than this atmospheric thing, although it does work. There are plenty of songs, a lot of bands like Coldplay, and U2 famously actually. They'll, through a whole bunch of different chord changes, they'll just play that one. So that's something you might want to experiment with the sus4. So utilizing the sus2 is particularly useful on that 1 chord to the 4 chord thing, like a G to C, going from G to C sus2. You just move that one note, adds that little kind of the drone strings, where the strings, those notes are staying the same all the way through. It's a very, very fun little sound. Again, especially the primo use of these kind of triads is acoustic guitar strumming, a clean electric guitar with a healthy dose of reverb and delay, picking out these arpeggiating the triad shapes. It sounds really wicked. Loads and loads of big records use that kind of effect. So, yeah, I think that'll do. Again, big deal. Use this stuff. Don't just learn it and kind of get it under your fingers and then forget about it. Put it into practice. If you haven't got a jam buddy yet, try and find one. Try and find an actual human that you can meet up with every week or every couple of weeks or once a month and try out these ideas. Sit down and go, okay, you do the strum and I'll do the triads, and now we'll swap over. It's the best way to learn these things. If you can be in a band or whatever, more power to you. But even just having a friend that's learning guitar that you can jam with and play with regularly will make a huge difference in how quickly you progress and how much you're able to put these kind of ideas into actual practical use. So yeah, hope you have a lot of fun with those. There'll be of course again song examples and suggestions and stuff over on the website if you happen to be on YouTube. If you are over on Tube, then please do hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified when new lessons. I really appreciate your support. I think that'll do. I can't believe I've managed to film this whole little series in one sitting. Never done that before. 8 lessons. Some of them kind of short, but still. Yeah, really hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.